Jeffery Christopher was elected sheriff of Sussex County, Delaware in 2010. He brings more than 26 years of experience in law enforcement to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Christopher is committed to promoting a professional, highly trained, and visible staff throughout Sussex County, Delaware. He is an advocate for better training and certification of his deputies. He also seeks to promote the creation of programs aimed at promoting child safety, combating teenage delinquency, and raising awareness about senior safety and wellness. He lives in Greenwood, Delaware, with his wife, Barbie, and their 2 children, Adam and Rachel. Sheriff Christopher takes his constitutional oath of office very seriously, which is why he currently finds himself at odds with a recent statute passed by the state legislature that violates the state constitution. Sheriff Jeffery Christopher, welcome to the Global Freedom Report. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Fred. It's good to be here.
When you took office as sheriff of Sussex County, you took an oath as required by the state constitution. What's the content of that oath?
Basically, when I look up at the wall and I see the oath that I took, read the words off of the page itself, I had a judge swear me, and one of the things that says there is that I'm to remain faithful to the people that elected. It says the sovereign, described there. And of course, I know this. I already knew it in my heart before I took that oath. Of course, now more than ever, I know it because every time I turn around, I'm being challenged at that particular oath that I answer to the county council is what you think here in Sussex County. I have a county council, for whatever reason, driven to basically make me null and void, if you will, as the chief conservator of the peace here in the county, and also be able to be the director and person who runs the sheriff's office as sheriff. I'm a selected body that this office called the sheriff, that every other sheriff gets to enjoy. They want to run the office. They want it to be, and most part, it's just money making them because of foreclosures and what have you that occur here, unfortunately, and here in Delaware, as we all know in this country, at an alarming rate. So I'm at odds with the county council, state legislature, because they both work hand in hand to undermine the office of sheriff that is here for the people of the by that oath.
Well, now let's talk about the state legislature to start. The Delaware legislature passed a law that eliminates some of the powers of the sheriffs throughout the state. What exactly is this law they passed? What precisely does it do? And what, you've come out with a statement to the effect that you are not going to comply with it. Why have you come out with that statement? So that's 3 questions in one. What's the law? What does it actually purport to do? And why are you refusing to comply?
Well, it started out as House Bill 290, introduced by the Republicans here in Sussex County, Delaware. Started from the mission of building a bill to rid the office of its power by the county council, and then they contacted the local legislator. He went after the whole thing through the legislator as he's a representative in one of the districts of the county. But he went over and laid these things out, and he was told basically this is an unconstitutional venture, that he should be forewarned that would be egg on his face. So he ended up dropping it. Democrat, and he made threats that he would see to it that the sheriff doesn't get powers of the office solidified or what have you, however he looks at it. In fact, he made the comment that it's not his job to pass laws in the state legislature as a representative that are constitutional. His job was to pass laws, and if they were challenged, if their constitutionality was challenged, court. And so anyway, this House bill turned into House Bill 365 when it was up by Mayor and passed in the House, and then went to the Senate, narrowly passed in the Senate, and basically became law signed by Governor Jack Markell in June. what it says basically is the sheriff has no arrest authority, period. I'm the only sheriff in the United States that's ever been challenged on his arrest authority in general. I'm not talking about investigation or wiretapping or like that. I'm talking about basic arrest powers. In fact, the statement to be made is that the sheriff has no more arrest powers than the average citizen here. Even though I am specifically mentioned in the Delaware Constitution for Article 15 to be the conservator of the peace. And then they go as far to say that that's never been defined, the term conservator of the peace. And in common law, if you look up the common law throughout history, and in court after court after court, that is not the case. Common law defines the sheriff as a peace officer and has all of the rights under the term of peace throughout common law that is historical to this country and not just all the way back to some say even into the Bible, in Daniel, where it's sheriff. The fact is that the sheriff is the oldest law enforcement in the world as far as that's concerned, and the constitutionality of the sheriff, which is he's elected rather than being appointed, he's elected. Many people don't understand that the sheriff's office, or the sheriff as an old body, autonomous, as he is elected, he answers strictly to people. Now, he's going to follow a government decree to a point until it crosses the line and goes over into the constitutional violation of the people he serves in his electorate. Basically, it's his job to say, not going to let the government take over my county. And that doesn't matter which government it is, whether it's federal government, local government, state government, county government. He's still responsible to. Of course, he's going to enforce laws. He's going to enforce laws and do the things that is necessary for him to do. What this particular bill in Delaware restricts doing, and that's any law, and thereby not being able to protect the sovereignty that elected me.
Have you considered going out and, in the face of this, going out and arresting the county council, the governor, and any of the legislators who violated the Constitution?
Absolutely. It's been considered several times. Yes, it's been considered. One of the things that they did prior to my entering the office was make sure that the devices that were built in for the office of sheriff to have access to the courts. One of the things here in Delaware you might find surprising is you as a person cannot just walk off the street and basically file a complaint on a person at the commissioner's office or the magistrate's office. There must be a police officer involved, and that's the discretion of that police officer whether the person you're being charged or not. So there's a system that's been built in that restricts the access of the courts to the people. And they were able to control that. The state police control that, both in the reporting element of it. In other words, if I wanted to write a report about an arrest, I have no access to that at all because it's all controlled by the state. And the access to the courts, I spoke briefly with the chief magistrate of the state who told me basically that he's ordered all the deputies not to receive any of my prisoners whatsoever. So I don't have, they're restricting me and basically keeping me from accessing the court whatsoever.
Well, now, you mentioned the original Republican who authored the bill initially as HB 290 was told that this is not constitutional, it's going to be egg on your face. Who told him that?
I believe it was the attorneys of the General Assembly, or at least attorneys that were gathered at the time. There were some people that were involved in that meeting that contacted me and said, that this bill is going to be withdrawn. It's spaced value because they understood that this was an anti-con bill, and they tried to make the excuse that term conservative peace is not defined in the state of Delaware. However, if you go to the definition of the Delaware State Police in the state law, it says the Delaware State Police shall be servitors of the peace throughout the state, And prior to 2007, it said, and shall have police powers, similar to those of sheriffs, constables, and other police officers. Now, that was changed also by Pete Forshaw. The word sheriff was taken out, denoting that it was an outdated term.
So my question is, if there were people out there, legal people, to tell the original author of the bill that this was not constitutional, weren't there people to tell the guy, the Schwarzkopf and the other legislators who voted for it and the governor or the Senate, weren't there people in there saying, hey, this is not constitutional? What happened to those voices?
Yes, those voices were completely ignored. We had people that went up there and explained to the General Assembly, the body of the General Assembly, what was going on here, how this is in your face violation of the Constitution, common law establishment of the United States as far as the offices of sheriff. And they simply ignored it. To put it plain and simple, they ignored it, they pushed it through. It was all politically motivated. Delaware, as you know, is a very small state, and certain favors were done. There's no question in my mind that favors were done that day. In fact, if people that went up there to do that and spoke, they knew. In fact, they reported back that they felt that all time that they spent there speaking to these people, it fell on deaf ears, and they walked in there.
Police are beholden to the state. The sheriff is beholden to the people. Is this new law a direct disenfranchisement of and attack on the people?
Yes, it is. And I think that people are starting to realize this. However, it's not. I don't think it actually is. And I can give you I'll offer what my thoughts are on. For many years, the sheriff's office has been turned into office generally for the county and has not been utilized like it should have been. Now, when I came in, people were saying, well, that's not what a sheriff does. I said, well, I already know what a sheriff does, and I know exactly what it says in the Constitution here, and that's all the tools that I need to continue forward to do my job as elected body of the people. And basically, I also act as a tripod, if you will, as a balance of powers, separation of powers, however you want to put that term. I utilized a case in 1998 where a trooper here in Delaware wanted to be a representative and wanted to run representative while remaining as a trooper. He asked the Attorney General, then, I believe it was Jane Brody, and she was married to a trooper and her sister was a trooper. And she said there was no problem doing that. Well, they went to the Supreme Court on this because someone challenged this. And the Supreme Court judge said that is not possible because it violates state powers standard. And if you do this, basically, it can't create the laws and then go out and enforce the very laws create. That's corruption in its finest form, if you will. And hence it was stopped. But in his rule, he used the term sheriff, that the trooper had the same exact power and the same exact commission, designated commission as servers of the peace. And you couldn't do that. So he likened the power of the state police that basically was borrowed from the sheriff's office and the office of the sheriff from 300 or 400 years prior to the state police ever being established. The sheriff's office has been, we've been here since 1669. I think we're the fifth oldest sheriff's office in the country.
Well, I'd say that gives you some kind of grandfather position in all this, a grandfather UN. I believe you filed a lawsuit against the county. Where is that process currently, and why have you not filed a lawsuit against the legislature or even the state?
Well, we want to file it against the county since they have been the arm of execution. Basically, they are the ones who are standing on the front lines issuing documents restricting you from engaging in any law enforcement activity whatsoever. They are defying me by giving me deputies that are necessary. In fact, they just took away 2 deputies, one by basically fiat. They just fired him, in my opinion, for no reason. Created some kind of a GPS report and been doctored. You can see that it's been changed. However, Delaware is so politically moved and so politically motivated Now we got our Vice President Joe Biden because of the motivation, political twist turning there and done in Wilmington. If everybody in Sussex County could vote against Biden, he would still win the senatorial race here in Delaware for many, many years. He became a very powerful man because of the folks that are behind him, the DuPont, what have you, are standing right behind him. The Attorney General that's fighting me this moment, that's in this case, his son, Joe Biden, and he came out and said that has no arrest authority whatsoever. The state solicitor that issued that, her opinion about the sheriff's office said, sheriff had no arrest authority, and without going into the historical aspects of it, well, I say this: if you don't go in the historical aspects of anything, you're never going to find much in the way of what established the office to begin with, and that is our Constitution.
So, is the lawsuit currently in process, or has it been thrown out, or what?
No, it is in the courts. It's in Delaware Superior Court. It has been filed. The defendants are named at this county council. Its first hearing be July the 20th. That's this Friday coming up at 11 a.m. in the Superior Court in Delaware, Sussex County, Delaware.
Can you, if you decide it's appropriate, can you either file a separate action or add to this action the members of the legislature and or governor himself as a party?
Yes, that's all been correct. It's all being considered right now. We're trying to move forward on this, and we're also being very cautious about what we do because from where I stand, what I can see is very political. They have a way of calling, make things go away because they know that I'm relying on donations from across this country for people to fight this. I will go out there and go as far to say that I'm probably the lowest paid sheriff in the country. I only make $20,000 a year.
Wow.
And, very difficult for me.
Can you not, I'm sorry because we're running low on time. Let's just get this in. Can you not replace deputies who are fired by these people with members of the public? Can't you just, I'm appointed as a member of the posse at this point.
Yes, and do that. However, as you know, with regard to the economy right now, people are looking for jobs that pay, and it's hard to get people here to stand up against the established government that has been so pushy, in fact, that it has established itself a years and years and years of basically old person to come into this government, get along. We have situations where the candidate arose out of nowhere by the name of Christine Powell, who unseated one of the main players in Congress a couple years ago. And if you look that up, you'll see Mike Castle was the one unseated. That was a big deal. However, it put the Republican Party so severe that it just seems like no one can come together on their own accord. Say, listen, I'm here for the constitutional value of these. People are afraid to make the.
Yeah, and I understand that. If, and I hate to play the if game, but I've got to as a journalist. If the courts rule against, it goes up the level, and all the courts rule against, which frankly I hope won't happen, would you still refuse to comply since your oath supports the Constitution and not the courts?
At this stage in the game, I believe in my heart that I will, but I also have to consider my family and the safety of my family. I know that some people do new lows about threats to my family and threats to my children and what have you. I've already had problems with bullying in the schools and what have you that's been going around here, threats that have been made towards me and my wife. But I've got to consider that. But I'll tell you what, I would like to think this, Brett, that if the people of this country are serious about what
quickly now, we're almost out of time.
An attack. All right, I think that we need to get together, and people need to get behind their sheriff and stand firmly behind their sheriffs and the constitutional right that they have to the office of sheriff, and just that without regard to this stand up here. 300 people walked into the courtroom behind it tomorrow. I would feel a lot more confident than going in by myself.
Excellent. Can they get information at SussexCountyDE.gov?
Well, get some, but I wouldn't trust much of that information to put out there.
Is there a website? Quickly.
Basically, what you need, CSKOA.org.
Got it. I'll give it out. Thanks so much, Christopher. We're out of time. End of hour number 2.